Now listen, when it comes to Rihanna, it is time to have not just an important conversation, but the important conversation, and address something we have only ever been able to talk about with 2 or 3 other figures in the entire history of modern celebrity. And well, before we go any further into this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hype up the video if you have not already. It helps me out so much, and it makes sure that people are going to see one of the most important discussions we ever have on this channel about how one woman just rewrote the entire blueprint for what a global icon is even allowed to do in the entertainment world. And well, what is that exactly? Well, we will start off slow and we will get more into it. It is that Rihanna, the same Rihanna who has not given a real career interview in over 4 years, the same Rihanna who has been allegedly watching, listening, and quietly bankrolling pieces of an industry she does not officially work in, well, that Rihanna has just been exposed as the silent architect of what may be the single most ambitious cultural pivot a billionaire entertainer has ever attempted. And honestly, stick around, because by the end of this video, the picture is going to look so much bigger than any gossip page is willing to admit right now. What we found out about this story, and what we continue to find out more and more as the hours pass, well, is that what the entire internet read as a sweet, harmless 4 a.m. lobby moment at the Four Seasons was actually the public surface of something that had been running in private, allegedly, for 18 straight months. And once you understand the shape of that private operation, you cannot look at Rihanna the same way again. You cannot look at Roc Nation the same way again. And you definitely cannot look at the reality television industry the same way again. Because here's the thing. According to sources orbiting a private group chat that is said to contain a handful of well-known reality personalities and at least 2 former unscripted television producers, screenshots started circulating in the early hours of this week that allegedly show a recurring monthly transfer landing in the account of one specific woman in that lobby. 18 months of wires, a consistent 5-figure range, routed allegedly through a Delaware shell entity whose only signatory is a Roc Nation adjacent attorney whose name has already shown up on 3 publicly confirmed Rihanna-related transactions over the past 6 years. Same attorney, same structure, same fingerprint. And the gossip pages are reading it like it is just another sweet celebrity story, when honestly, it is the receipt that proves a much bigger play has been in motion the entire time. Now let me explain why that Delaware shell detail matters so much, because honestly, I don't think most people watching this understand how rare that fingerprint actually is. Delaware shell LLCs are not unusual. Almost every major celebrity has at least one. But the specific combination here, single signatory, attorney of record structure, no listed members, no listed managers, registered agent only, that is a very particular construction, and it is used almost exclusively for transactions where the principal does not want the cash trail to lead anywhere near their personal name. It is the kind of structure that is used for a private real estate purchase that the principal does not want a tabloid to find. It is the kind of structure that is used for a private investment into a startup the principal does not want associated with their public brand. And it is the kind of structure, allegedly, that is used to wire monthly support to a beneficiary without the beneficiary ever being able to prove in any public way who the source is. 3 different forensic accountants who have walked me through the shape of this kind of entity have told me the same thing. When you see this structure, you are not looking at a coincidence. You are looking at intention. And in this specific case, the same intention has shown up on 3 previously confirmed transactions tied to the same global icon. So either we are watching the single luckiest pattern coincidence in modern celebrity finance, or we are watching, in real time, a piece of a long-running private operation accidentally surface in public. And the moment that finally pulled this much-needed discourse into the open, well, it came from no other moment than the lobby. Rewind it. Watch it again, slowly. Watch the way Rihanna walks in. Watch her eyes. There is something in the way she scans that room that we all missed the first time around. She does not look like somebody who stumbled into a circle of strangers and recognized a couple of TV faces. She looks like somebody who walked into that lobby expecting to see a specific person. And when her shoulders shift, and when she leans into that hug, and when she says she is so proud of the journey, that is not a fan moment. That is, allegedly, allegedly an investor seeing the founder of a company she has been quietly capitalizing for a year and a half. The lobby was not a discovery, the lobby was a graduation, and once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. Now, I'm not going to say the recipient's name in this video, not because I don't know it, and not because the sourcing is not solid, but because the second a name like that gets dropped on a platform like this, three things happen at once. Every gossip page on the internet steals the lead and credits nobody. The woman in question becomes a target overnight for harassment she didn't sign up for, and the source who actually surfaced this in the first place gets identified within 48 hours. So I'll describe her instead. She's a reality television personality with a footprint on 2 ensemble franchises between roughly 2019 and 2024. She has under 1 million followers on Instagram. She has spoken openly about losing a parent during her time on the air. She was in that 4 Seasons lobby, and she is the only person in that room who, the morning after, posted a story using the exact phrase, "She has been my angel longer than y'all know." In the context of an alleged 18-month anonymous patronage, that line doesn't read like a throwaway thank you anymore. That line reads like a confession.
She knew. She always knew. And honestly, that is what makes this story so beautiful and so dangerous at the same time. And I want to spend a second on that phrase because I think most people are reading right past it. The phrasing she chose was not generic. She did not write something basic like "grateful for this moment" or "so blessed to meet her." She wrote a sentence that specifically references a length of time that the public was not supposed to know about, longer than y'all know. That is not a phrase you use about a stranger. That is not a phrase you use about a 1-second hug in a hotel lobby. That is a phrase you use when you have been sitting on a private truth for so long that in the rush of the morning after, a fragment of it slips out onto Instagram before your team can catch it. And once it was up, it was up. The screenshots were already in the group chat. The wire trail was already being mapped. The attorney's name was already being pattern matched against past transactions. By the time anyone on her side could have intervened, the sentence was already part of the timeline. And honestly, that is the kind of soft confession that journalism gets built on top of. The screenshots will be picked apart for weeks, the phrasing will be quoted in pieces, and Rihanna, whether she meant to or not, has already let the first thread out of the spool. Here is where the lore deepens, because if you have been paying attention to Rihanna for as long as some of us have, you already know there is a pattern. In 2012, Rihanna allegedly covered the medical bills of a fan in Boston, and the story did not leak until 7 years later through a hospital administrator who could not hold it anymore. In 2017, Rihanna reportedly funded an entire semester of tuition for a scholar she met for 30 seconds at a foundation event. In 2020, in the earliest, darkest weeks of the pandemic, an unnamed Caribbean nonprofit received what insiders described as a one-line wire, no message attached, no name attached, no follow-up at all, that kept its doors open for 14 months. Rihanna does not give for credit. Rihanna gives in the dark. The pattern is so consistent at this point that it is almost a religion, and if you understand that pattern, the 18-month wire suddenly makes total sense. Of course she did this. Of course she funded a woman she had been watching from the sidelines. Of course she did it through a shell. Of course she never said a word. Of course the lobby was the first time the two of them were ever physically in the same room. That is exactly how she moves. But here is the part nobody is talking about yet, and this is where I really need you to lock in, because if the screenshots are real, and the wire structure, the attorney trail, the metadata, the timing, all of it lines up the way the sourcing suggests, then Rihanna has accidentally exposed a blueprint for how an A-list global figure can directly capitalize a B-list creator without any of the traditional trappings of the entertainment industry. No contracts, no equity, no NDA, no social media tag, no magazine spread, no publicist statement. Just money every month on the first, with zero expectation of anything in return. And in an industry that has spent the last 20 years exploiting exactly that kind of talent through draconian contracts, undervalued fees, and likeness deals that last forever, what Rihanna has been quietly doing is, structurally speaking, the polar opposite of how the system is supposed to work. And the system, I promise you, is paying attention. 3 major networks, according to 2 separate production sources who spoke for this video on Background, reportedly placed calls to Roc Nation inside of 72 hours of the lobby clip going viral. The first call came in within 19 hours. the second within 32, the third within 46, three of the largest unscripted distributors in the American market, all reaching out, all pitching different angles, all reportedly told the same line by the Roc Nation response team. And honestly, that line is what broke my brain when I heard it. She is not taking pitches, she is building pitches. That is not a yes, that is not a no, that is a position statement. That is Roc Nation telling the most powerful executives in American television that the woman they have been chasing for 2 decades is no longer a piece of talent to be packaged. She is, allegedly, a studio to be partnered with. And that, right there, is a tectonic shift in how the industry has historically treated her. And when it comes to what those networks reportedly wanted, well, the angles are wildly different, and that is the part that fascinates me. The legacy cable brand wants something in the lane of a runway-style fashion competition with a Savage X Fenty rapper. The streaming platform that has been losing the unscripted war for 3 years wants a beauty mentorship docuseries with a Fenty beauty lens. And the younger, more aggressive platform that has been buying up reality catalog rights for the last 18 months wants something more chaotic, a relationship and business hybrid set in a Caribbean villa, executed by Rihanna, with a talent pool drawn from the exact ecosystem of personalities Rihanna has been, allegedly, quietly watching this entire time. 3 different pitches, 3 different formats, one woman holding the entire deck of leverage. And again, this is somebody who hasn't even officially said she's in the business of television. Now, here is where I have to flag something, because if I were sitting in the Roc Nation strategy room right now, I would be raising my hand. There is a strategic mismatch in this picture that nobody is talking about. Rihanna does not need to bet her brand on a television format with a 50% failure rate. Rihanna has watched too many of her peers do exactly that and burn out. Rihanna has watched the Kardashians turn unscripted television into a multi-billion-dollar engine, and Rihanna has also watched at least a dozen A-list attempts at the same model collapse inside of 2 seasons. The real strategic question is not whether Rihanna can sell a network a reality concept. The real strategic question is whether attaching the Fenty brand to weekly unscripted programming dilutes the empire she has been spending 15 years building brick by brick. That tension between the size of the opportunity and the cost of protecting the brand is exactly the tension a real chess player navigates. And everything we know about her decision-making over the last decade tells us she is playing chess, not checkers. So the move, if there is a move coming, will not look like a traditional reality show. It will look like something the industry does not even have a vocabulary for yet. And honestly, I think that is the real story under the story, and I think that is what the gossip pages are missing entirely. Because in the last 14 months, Roc Nation has quietly hired, according to multiple industry trackers, 3 different unscripted television executives. I am not going to read their names because 2 of them are still under non-disclosure obligations to former employers, but I will tell you the shape of their resumes. One came out of a major unscripted behemoth and built 3 of the top-rated reality competitions of the last decade. One came out of a streamer and was responsible for greenlighting 2 breakout docuseries inside of the last 24 months. And one came out of an agency that handled talent packaging for the exact kind of reality personalities who were standing in that 4 seasons lobby. 3 executives, 3 different verticals, 1 employer. That is not a music label hire. That is the skeleton of a television studio being assembled in real time. And Rihanna is the only person on the planet with the brand equity to make all 3 of those bets pay off at once. Now, the rival in this story, and I want you to really sit with this, the rival is not a person. The rival is the entire Hollywood machine that has spent 2 decades trying to figure out how to monetize Rihanna's likeness and has been told no every single time. The rival is the network executive who has been told no. The rival is the producer who has been told no. The rival is the streamer that has been told no. The rival is the format itself, because reality television as an industry has spent the last 20 years exploiting the exact kind of women who were in that lobby, paying them undervalued fees, locking them into contracts that look like indentured servitude, owning their likeness in perpetuity, capping their upside, and gatekeeping their access to the rest of the entertainment economy. That infrastructure is the formidable, intense, deeply entrenched obstacle in this story. And Rihanna is about to walk into a room with the people who built that infrastructure and tell them, with the quiet, untouchable confidence she carries everywhere, that the model is over. The next iteration belongs to her, and the women who used to be the labor force are about to become the equity holders. And that is why I keep going back to the lobby clip, because every single time I rewatch it, I see something I did not see the time before. The way she scans the room, the way her shoulders drop, the way she lingers on a specific face for half a beat longer than she lingers on the others, the way that one particular woman in the back of the frame mouths the words "thank you" before Rihanna has even said a word to her. That is not a fan and an idol. That is two people who already know each other through 18 months of paper, finally meeting in the room. And the internet read it as a coincidence. The internet read it as a sweet moment. The internet read it as Rihanna being Rihanna. But what it actually was, allegedly, was the most expensive soft launch of a television studio in modern entertainment history, disguised as a hug. Now here's what makes her untouchable, and I mean that in the most literal narrative sense. Rihanna does not need any of this. She does not need a network deal to win. She does not need Hollywood to validate her. She has a beauty empire that prints money. She has a lingerie empire that the legacy brands are still trying to reverse engineer. She has a music catalog she hasn't even fully exploited yet. She has 2 children. She has a partner. She has a Bridgetown property portfolio that family offices would kill to study. She does not need any of this, which is precisely why she is going to get all of it, on her terms, on her timeline, with her name on the door. And when she finally does walk into that boardroom, the executives who have been chasing her for 20 years are going to realize that the woman they thought they were pitching has been building her own pipeline directly to the talent pool they've been mining the entire time. No middleman, no agency, no commission. Just receipts on the first of every month for 18 straight months, and a lobby moment that the world was supposed to read as nothing. And honestly, that is the most beautiful part of this whole thing, because it tells you exactly how Rihanna thinks. Rihanna does not move when the cameras are on. She moves when the cameras are off. And then Rihanna lets the cameras catch the very last frame of the move so that the world has to spend the next year reverse engineering what they just saw. That is not luck. That is not vibes. That is not a publicist. That is allegedly 15 years of strategic patience compressed into a single 4-second clip in a hotel lobby at 3 in the morning. And every executive in Los Angeles is sitting in their office right now trying to figure out how to be the network that gets the callback. And if you want to really understand how rare this is, compare it to the playbooks of her peers. The Kardashian playbook, for everything it built, was loud the entire way through. Every single dollar that came into that empire came with a camera attached, came with a confessional booth, came with a contract. The whole point of that model was visibility, and the trade-off was that the talent had to live inside the format forever. Beyoncé's playbook, for everything it has accomplished, has been almost the opposite: monolithic, controlled, drop and disappear, with the visual album and the surprise release functioning as the central currency. Both of those are billion-dollar models, and both of them work, and both of them belong to the women who built them. But what Rihanna is reportedly doing, and again, I am saying reportedly because nobody on her side has confirmed any piece of this, what she is reportedly doing is a third model that nobody on the planet has built yet: silent capital deployment. Patron-first relationships with the talent pool. No format obligation, no camera obligation, no contractual obligation. And then, when the moment is finally ready, a 4-second public surfacing that does the marketing work of a $50 million advertising campaign for free. And once the surfacing has happened, the talent pool is already loyal, already pre-aligned, already emotionally bonded, because the relationships were built in the dark for a year and a half before the lights ever came on. Honestly, that is not a playbook. That is a religion, and it has never been attempted at this scale before. Now, let me walk you through what I think the next 90 days look like, because I genuinely believe we are about to see one of the more interesting strategic chess sequences in modern entertainment, and I want you on the record with me before it happens so you can come back and check. Step 1. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, Roc Nation will, very quietly, issue a non-statement statement. It will not confirm anything about the wires. It will not deny anything about the wires. It will say something deliberately vague about how the principal supports a number of private philanthropic initiatives and does not comment on them as a matter of policy. That non-statement, on its own, will be treated by half the gossip world as a denial and by the other half as a confirmation. And both of those readings are exactly what the response team wants because both readings keep the conversation alive. Step 2. Within the next 4 to 6 weeks, one of those 3 networks will, very strategically, leak a piece of their pitch to a trade publication. They will not name the principal directly. They will frame it as a generic, unscripted format conversation. The leak is not designed to land a deal. The leak is designed to apply public pressure on the principal to come to the table, because once the trades have it, the conversation becomes harder to ignore. Step 3. Within the next 8 to 12 weeks, the principal's own communications channel, whether that is a single Instagram story, a single comment under a post, or a single line dropped during an unrelated public appearance, will say one specific sentence that resets the entire narrative in her favor. And whatever that sentence is, it will be the most analyzed sentence of the entertainment year. Mark it on your calendar. We will come back and check. So the question I want you to answer for me in the comments is this. Camp 1. The 18-month patronage is exactly what it looks like on the surface, a private act of generosity that accidentally exposed itself, and the network calls are just opportunistic noise. Camp 2, the patronage was the foundational move of a Fenty-branded unscripted vertical that has been quietly under construction for the entire 18 months, and the soft launch was the soft launch. Or Camp 3, it is something even bigger than that, something none of us have figured out yet, and the recipient woman is the key that unlocks the next phase of the empire. Drop your camp, 1, 2, or 3. I genuinely cannot wait to read what you all think, because the comment section on stories like this is where the real analysis actually happens. And listen, if you made it this far into the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out so much, and it tells the algorithm to push this kind of forensic breakdown to more people who actually care about what is really going on, instead of the surface-level gossip that every other page on this app is recycling. And if you want to see how, right before this, well, the way Roc Nation has been quietly restructuring over the last 14 months tells a story that almost nobody has connected to what we just talked about. You are not going to want to miss this one. So check out the suggested video on your screen right now, and I will catch you in the next one.